Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Localisation Markets. As always, I'm your host, Hassan Jivraj. I think we're at episode 73, which is really great. We're getting close to 75, which is a big milestone for this podcast. But as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, this podcast will be available in both audio and on video on YouTube, as we're doing right now. And please, before we begin the podcast, remember to sign up to all of our social media channels at Localisation Markets. But now I'd like to introduce my guest for today's episode, George Huang. George, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
George, you and I connected about a couple of months ago from a mutual friend of ours who was saying that I should definitely get talking to you. This podcast, I'm not sure you're too aware of it, is talking about issues or like trends in both global and Islamic markets. And I think your background and what you do is day to day with your company and everything is really interesting, particularly being based in Saudi Arabia. But George, before we get into like what you're doing and your thoughts on AI and Saudi Arabia's strategy with AI, could you give our viewers and listeners your background story?
I consider myself somebody who really worked all over the world and interesting background because I'm American Chinese, first of all. So I immigrated to America when I was 15 and a half. So 1980s, 81 and 82. So grew up in New York. And that's how I first time, as you know, New York is a melting pot. So that's the first time I start interface with the Middle Eastern cultured people. So it's fantastic. And that's how I started knowing a little bit about some of the cultures, Arabic culture and other cultures in New York City. I studied in United States as well and got an MBA, then start working all over across U.S. as well. Then I come back, early stage of my career, back in Middle East again. Did 3 years, then work in Brazil, Colombia, Toronto, then went to China. And some multinational business for 18 years in China. And 2018, we made a very bold decision that we're going to come out to Middle East to explore the opportunity with AI.
Amazing. So you kind of have like a take on both the Chinese experience and also the US experience, right? And seeing all these different cultures.
All different culture. I love it. I think you're learning every day.
Amazing. And George, what do you think, like, you mentioned about being in New York and, interacting with all these different cultures and your studies as well. But when did you first hear like about the Middle East, the Middle East? Did it happen through like a personal thing, or did it happen at a work thing? How did you hear about this region?
Well, I think in terms of AI, I think we heard about this region. We had an interesting story because our SenseTime group was started about 11 years ago in China, in Hong Kong, starting in Hong Kong. Our original founder, Professor Tang, late Professor Tang, and he was a visionary guy. So absolutely visionary. He was thinking about how to make SenseTime Group. And in the same time, we got invested by Vision Fund, SoftBank. And when you study the Vision Fund, where the money come from was from Middle East. So we thought it's a good opportunity to understand Middle East. So we start studying Middle East market, how much they care about AI, like in Saudi Arabia, in UAE. And when we say, okay, it's time to come out. And so 2018, as a company, very young company, we came out to the Middle East region, GCC region. And we start to understand there's the leadership, the talent, people who really putting a lot of emphasis on how to diversify its economy from its oil. And that's how we come across to invest some more time and resources into the region.
Fantastic. And when did you move to the kingdom?
I moved to the kingdom officially about 3.5 years ago.
Wow. And did you visit anywhere else in that time beforehand, or was that just Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, so we established the office at the beginning. We established the office in UAE first, okay, and in Abu Dhabi. And then obviously we, as you know, we have the SenseTime has a group level, has a JV joint venture with the PIF. So we started talking to PIF, and PIF expressed a lot of interest. And also, we just noticed the PIF leadership, and they just very nimble, very fast at the time. And we noticed the market is very dynamic. Obviously, the youth, they're very digital in Saudi Arabia. You have about 70% of the population 30 years or younger. People are very digital. So we feel prepares for very well for the AI market. So that's
Amazing.
when we decide to come.
Amazing. And George, you just talked about SenseTime as a joint venture. Maybe you could tell our listeners and viewers what exactly is SenseTime and what is it doing in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, SenseTime MEA, you could think of us, we're very unique, playing in a space, very unique space. You can think of us as a AI-powered digital experience solution provider in the kingdom. Now, what's that mean? That means that if you look at we focus on three sectors: entertainment sector, education, and smart real estate. So what's digital experience? Because I believe everything is about experience. For example, when you look at the entertainment sector, you have many touch points in a sports venue, in a theme park venue, in a concert. Many touch points. Each touch points brings a different type of experience to the guests. And what we want to do is we use AI and software to digitize the entire journey of our guests and to elevate the experience. Once you elevate the experience, automatically you're going to generate more loyalty. People want to come back more and maybe want to spend more money. And so we try to create solutions, use AI solutions that is very practical. It's about value-driven AI, real user case to drive revenue, to drive better satisfaction of the guests or customers. So that's the entertainment side. For education, same thing. We want to create better experience for students. For example, use AI as a tutor. We understand your curriculum, use AI to help you to learn. And also in the kingdom lately, you will see the news about 2 months ago where students now self-learning about AI. They have curriculums on the online. These curriculums, the content of these curriculum, all written by SenseTime MEA here in the joint venture. And similarly for small real estate, in the real estate, let's say you have a King Solomon Park is the kingdom's building King Solomon Park. It's a very nice community. Obviously, once you go into new community, you want the property owners wants retailers coming in, maybe office building, people who live there, residents. And how do you connect all the journey to help retailers to use data to monetize these data, bring best products to the people who lives there or visit there? And for the residents too, how do you digitize the entire project to create better experience? And during that process, obviously, you to monetize the data as well and monetize the experience. And that's what we do. So we think this is we are one of the few companies in the world provides a very practical AI use case and to specifically focus on experience.
How would you say SenseTime is different to other AI companies or your competitors?
I think, well, and let's look at the joint venture in the kingdom. First of all, I think we're very innovative. We're very agile. We behave like startup, even though we're like about 200 people. To me, we're still very small. It's very, we need to stay nimble, stay agile. We're very agile, very responsive to the market because AI is just at the very infant stage it's a very early stage. You need to listen to the market. How do you provide value? The last one I think is our user case solutions are very practical and also very value driven because at the end of the day, you need to add value to your clients. Otherwise, AI become a buzzword, right? Everybody talk about AI, but then how do you use AI to help your client to drive the revenue or save the cost? That's the bottom line, because otherwise nobody buys these solutions.
And George, before we get into Saudi Arabia's strategy with AI and what your thoughts on that, how would you say from your international experience, Saudi Arabia's approach to AI is different to, say, like China or the US?
So I think, my experience, I went back to China year 2000 and left, 2018, came to the region and building the business for SenseTime and now the JV, everything. I think the approach Saudi Arabia taken is very similar to China. Obviously, it's a very important market. Saudi Arabia is one of the most important countries in the region. Its population is a pretty big population, 36 million people, and has its own talent. So it's very similar to China. Of course, China, the population 1.4 billion, all that, the large territory. But the approach is very similar because when you have a critical mass of talent, you want a localization. You want a localization manufacturing, you want a localization of offices and products, as well as develop its own talent. And that's very similar to China back then, at least from my perspective, right? Very similar. And I think that when your country is growing, you have ambition to become a world leader in these areas. You have to do this. This is just a process that everybody wanted to. Talent, at the end of the day, is that talent is very important. Create jobs, create economy, and create talent.
Just off the back of that, then, George, Saudi Arabia, the AI strategy, I was reading about it a bit the last few days, and it seems quite extensive and quite and interesting. There was an article I was reading saying it's more radical than people realize, and it's an integral part of Vision 2030, and then the kingdom's economic diversification efforts. How would you, in your words, characterize Saudi Arabia's vision towards AI?
Well, my own words is I don't see too much difference. I think it's because I had, like I said earlier, I have gone through this the China economy from 1999 all the way to now. That last 20 years, the explosive growth in China. So when I watch what's going on in the kingdom, the Vision 2030, I think it's a very bold, very courageous vision. It's great. I think so. It doesn't really shock me because I wasn't really a first time went to a very explosive market. So I look at the market as a very explosive market, fast growing, and desire to acquire this knowledge in a very with urgency. So I think this is very similar to my experience when I was going through the China. So it's fantastic. For me, it's more about all these opportunity. How do you, as a joint venture with the PIF, how do we play a role in this market with a significant impact? Because you have all the opportunity, you want to impact the market, and how do we find that sweet spot to impact the market? I think we have found it. So,
George, how would you characterize then Saudi Arabia's vision to actually what's happening on the ground, being based there?
oh, I think it's progressing well. I mean, I think when I've been staying in the kingdom. When you make a trip, go outside a month, you go outside, come back for 2 weeks trip. In the trip, you see Riyadh's buildings, trains everywhere, and then all of a sudden there's a new building open up, or all of a sudden there's a new shopping mall open up, and the same thing with the projects like we're working on. So we've been working on quite a bit with the PIF Giga projects. So our project is much more with the B2B2C type of projects. So, and these projects are all Giga project, all under extreme urgency, right? There's a deadline. We can see things are moving. Now, of course, that you gotta work together with partners and clients to make sure that you can manage the risk as well sometimes. But in general, we think it's progress very well.
But like what I'm getting at is like the vision, the vision of for AI and what the kingdom has laid out via its strategy. Do you see like that it's feasible to do within the timescale of 2030, or do you think it's going to go over that period?
Well, I think it's definitely moving doable, right? Because I think obviously the kingdom wants to become one of the top 5, one of the top 3 AI power in the world. And I think at the end of the day, it's about now with all these giga projects. And one of the things I consider ourselves as a PI portfolio company. So our responsibility in a way is to make sure you transfer those knowledge to the clients or to the Saudi employees, AI knowledge, technology, how to run these AI, how to AI algorithm, AI infrastructure. We're building all this stuff in the kingdom. But I think as long as these projects going and the mandate to finish this project with a certain deadline, I think it's obviously moving towards a direction. I don't see like everything has to be perfectly, everybody learn AI by 2030. I think that's not really the mandate. So I think as long as you localize talent, I see all these policies, you have to localize talent, localize manufacturing, localization efforts that the government is doing, the policy. And as part of a portfolio company or a PIF, we're actually getting benefits out of these, right? Because we're a local company and we can win projects because we're a local company. So, so our job is really to transfer those knowledge. As long as they push us, we push them. It's a good cycle. It's a very healthy cycle.
Great. And then In terms of, you're a PIF joint venture, how does or how do you guys collaborate with other entities within the AI ecosystem within Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, so you still have to win. You still have to go, even though sometimes within the portfolio company, we get to know each other. PIF sets up a very nice ecosystem. We have partners forum, we have an industry forum, AI forum. We get to know each other, but you still have to go big RIP. You still have to earn it. So some of the projects you have to showcase to prove a concept. So it's nothing's been given as a free lunch. You still got to be you have to beat everybody. You have to be the best. You have to show the value. You have to agile. Like I said, you have to show the agility. You have to be innovative, some of the solutions. So I think, but it's good that they create this environment where you to get to know each other. And so this way you at least, doesn't matter how good your technology is, you get that networking, get to know some of the other projects, CEOs, and that allows us to get to know them quickly and understand their requirement better. That's always helpful.
What would you say are the biggest opportunities and challenges with regards to Saudi Arabia's AI strategy?
Yeah, biggest opportunities I think is you got all the younger generation is a very very digital, right? Everybody uses it's social media is so popular. Young people's everybody's on the phone, so it's easy to create technology, AI technology through mobile apps, super apps. So everybody will use it very quickly. Adaptation will be very fast, right? And so especially B2B2C market. But now the challenge obviously is also now with all the what's going on in the world, the geopolitics and the oil price, you need to make sure that there's some risk associated with that as well in the region. And plus all these projects are simultaneously going on. You need a lot of good talents to make sure that push forward those projects. It's not, you and I all ran projects before. When you have so many projects going on, how you balance which ones are priority, which ones are less priority, where all the money you want to spend. So that's a risk associated with that as well, right? And every year, now from now to 2030, that's 5 years from now. In between then, you want to ensure globally, you want to ensure the financial stability around the global market, oil price, geopolitics. If all that stuff stays very smooth, market is good, then I think Saudi is going to be very successful.
What about the idea that the lower oil price environment, I was just looking at Saudi Arabia's sovereign debt levels, has risen the most since nearly 2017. Is it not like a difficult economic environment to operate in at the moment as a PIF entity?
Yeah, for us, we be honest with you, we haven't. Of course, we hear the market that there's some pressure in terms of the cash flow and that stuff. That's what we hear. But I think we've been, like as I said, we've been working on PI portfolio giga projects with all these giga projects that are very under extreme urgency with deadlines. So I think that helps us quite a bit. And our majority of our projects now working on the government projects, more a PI portfolio company. But we heard that the market is getting tougher. So at the same time, our view is, I think helps us also a little bit is, as I said to you, is our AI user case is always about mark value driven. For example, these user cases always we want to measure. Let's say experience. You go to a theme park. If we can design AI, adding AI, let's say AI butler. What's the AI butler? AI butler is it's almost like your personal concierge when you go to a theme park. Let's say, Hassan, you take your family to a theme park. Once you walk in that theme park, because you're just AI concierge on your phone knows where you are and tells you, say, hey, you last night we booked for you to take this roller coaster. Now the waiting time is 1 hour. We would like to help you to maybe go to other roller coasters. Has less waiting, 5 minutes. Or maybe you tell the butler, say, hey, my kid's not feeling too good. I want to take it easy. I want to go to a coffee shop first and take care of everything. I want to make sure the kids are settled down a little bit. And this kind of real live data integrate into our AI platform, give you that AI butler type of, this is what we call AI agents in the world, in the now. Now, those type of solutions, applications can create better experience and better usage too, or better revenue-driven usage. Why? Because once they know who you are, they can upsell you some maybe some F&B, some coffee. This kind of thing is actually revenue driven, and it creates more user to come back to the theme parks. And that's the kind of a project we're working on. So I think when you work on those kind of projects, you're less impact at this point. Now, when you have some much more bigger global events, certainly everybody going to be impacted, right?
How important is it to have things like Arabic LLMs and understanding the culture and the cultural sensitivities within Saudi Arabia as an AI? Is that important?
That's very, very important, very important. So that's one of the things that we are now working on the large model, Arabic language model. And I think as you know, Saudi Arabia, you means working on one, right? That's a large model. Used to be Sadaya was working on one. So those things, I think because sometimes it's not about we have a capability to do it, but then like you said, then even you create a large model, there are a lot of sensitivity behind it as well. You need to train the model, make sure understands all the cultural sensitivity. So we are now working on the big, large model. We work on the vertical industry. For example, entertainment. When you go into the theme park, we created small model that understand everything about the theme park or understand everything about sports venue. This way has less risk, a little bit less, more focused model. That's what we're working on. But you're right. I mean, absolutely. If you work on a big, large model, you absolutely cultural sensitivity, language, religion, everything. You got to be very, very sensitive and you got to be accurate.
How would you characterize the Saudi labor market with regards to AI? Do you think there's enough training and initiatives to help the new generation prepare for the AI sector?
I think the market right now is talents is a scarcity, right? We have to pay good salary to attract people. I mean, local Saudi employees. If you find a really good Saudi, but there also, I noticed there's a lot of good talent from overseas. They come back, right? Maybe some of the good Saudi work for really good companies in the US, UK, or Asia. They come back to the market. But these top talents, you got to pay. Right now, the talent is definitely a scarcity. And in terms of training stuff, we try to participate with Sadaya and Ministry of Education to contribute these contributions. You got to train. I think PIF doing a lot of training. I noticed I get a lot of invitation for AI training. Ourselves, I try to train an employee, but also be honest with you, we got to do even better job to training. We're doing it. How good it is, we got to have a lot of measurements, how much results, all that stuff. I mean, at this point, because sometimes the market is growing so fast, you just can't keep up because you need these talent now. Actually, you need these talent yesterday.
Just on the back of that, what changes would you, or what would you want, like the new graduates or the new people entering the job market? What would you want them to have? Like, what kind of skills would you want them to have?
You got to study. One is you got to study computer science, right? I mean, it would be nice if you come into AI, you have some computer science background. But within AI, there's so many different type of, like for our company, there's so many different things. But first, most important, I mean, of course, if you major in computer science, that helps. But of course, the other thing is you got to be a well-rounded person. You want to learn something new. That kind of personality. Always want to be a learner, agile, right? You want to be a agile learner. And you want to, for a company like this, JV, we have Chinese, Hong Kongese, we have Saudi Arabian, we have Arabic speaking other country nationality in our company. You want people who's very diversified, very tolerant, and accept other cultures, easy to integrate. And so it's a personality as well. So it's what we're doing right now is I cannot announce on the podcast show with you. We're working with a university where we're creating a joint program, joint lab, actually AI lab, where we're gonna have 5 to 6 fresh graduates from
Amazing.
into our company and like intern every year. We have a selection process. We select 5, 6 of them and come and train them.
Amazing. Then George, Saudi Arabia's been trying a lot since 2016, since Vision 2030 was unveiled. You really relocated there about 3 years ago, but been visiting the kingdom a lot since then. Would you say the business environment has improved significantly, or are there still some like practical challenges to consider?
Yeah, it's absolutely improved a lot. Be honest with you, since 2018 when I visited the kingdom versus now, you see more women's in the company working, but more women driving. Even the process-wise is getting better and better. Now, I got lucky is that we immediately hire lots of Saudis in our JV. And so a lot of government platforms we knew right away because we got lucky is that we partner with PIF. We've been advised that you have to hide these then early. So when your government portals that we have Saudi employees help us to establish. But even that, I mean, our Saudi employees are telling me there's a lot of things that have been improving. I noticed the key thing is I noticed significantly changes the woman workforce because we hire a lot of women to work for us as well. So it's good. I think the younger generation is getting a lot of people want to do entrepreneurship in the kingdom. So that's one thing I noticed as well. It's that there's a environment that promotes the entrepreneurship in the kingdom as well.
Do you think that there still are some challenges for foreign companies that want to set up in Saudi Arabia?
For sure. I think the language wise is difficult right now, be honest with you. I mean, I see the other my friends who's calling me from Hong Kong or Singapore or Malaysia. They come. I mean, obviously they speak English well, but in the kingdom at this stage you still need to speak Arabic. If you don't speak Arabic, it's hard to operate. And I think that's where the challenge is. You have to language and speak Arabic, and that's very important. So if as like every country, I mean, as time goes by, I think this kind of the doors will be open more and more, and allows other business coming in much more easier. As compared now to 5 years ago, now it's much easier already.
With the, Vision 2030 is about 5 years away. Do you think that Saudi Arabia is going to have to rely a lot on these international partnerships in order to enhance its AI capabilities going forward?
Definitely. I think this is every country does that, right? Even US, China, we partner with different companies to do different things. So because each vertical sector there's a certain because at the end of the day, I'm a believer is that you have large model companies. These are what I call frontier companies or infrastructure companies. You have a national champion company to build these things, build infrastructure, GPUs, computing power. But in each vertical AI, you have to apply to each vertical industry with a practical use case to generate additional revenue or help to save money. So in each of these vertical industry, you have a company maybe in Europe is really good at a certain vertical. You got to have a domain knowledge. So you have to partner with somebody to have a domain knowledge. Then on top of it, you got to build this application on AI. So you got to have partnership for sure. No doubt. Any countries.
Yeah. One thing that just came to my mind, George, is you running an AI firm in Saudi Arabia, which is an oil-dependent economy still. Hydrocarbons plays a big role in the economy. How are you viewing things like sustainability with regards to energy generation in your activities? Does that play a big role in your calculus?
Well, we don't have a sustainability vertical industry that we are working on, but obviously, like I said, we focus on education sector, entertainment, and smart real estate, which is smart real estate encompasses smart city, smart building, and smart office. So those three sectors. In the smart building sector, we do connect where our solution, AI solution platform connects not only the IoT devices or the CCTV devices or the access control device. We also control all the sensors that monitors the lighting, energy level. We have a dashboard. We can automatically to turn off the building's lighting. We have all that. It's a smart building. So that's contribute to some of the sustainability. Also, one of the projects we have worked on, which is Red Sea, actually we have built a world's probably, I'm not sure exactly anywhere else you have this platform. It's an AI platform that monitors underwater wildlife conditions. That means like you have all the corals, and we have IoT devices, small underwater IoT device and small water cameras monitor how coral is growing in Red Sea, because the Red Sea it's a virgin sea. It's very clean. So we have all these devices under the way that project is already built. And and then you can also monitor wildlife. A fish flying by, we can recognize a fish, see if this fish is what type of fish and where is the movement, is the flow, where they're going. And we have a dashboard. in 360 degree. You can rebuild, for example, curl, we can actually take the picture and then we can rebuild it from 360 degree into a 3D model and give it to the scientists in the Red Sea. We already finished our project end of last year. We presented to Red Sea. They're very happy. They try to expand our project. But those kind of projects, we're very good at this kind of stuff. Now, we don't announce it, but these are kind of projects we're contributing to the kingdom.
Very good. And George, I just want to shift gears a little bit and just if you look, you've been based in Saudi Arabia for a while and you've been visiting the kingdom and you've been visiting other countries within the region. How would you compare Saudi Arabia's strategy with the likes of the UAE and Qatar?
That's a very good question. So I think for me, like I said, I came to UAE first, and I think they have that friendly, healthy competition among all three of them. But it's very niched, right? Because UAE, even though they're competing, but it's a healthy compete. But it's at the same time they're very. I feel at least is very sector. There's some difference in sector difference. For example, Saudis, they focus much more on entertainment, tourism, sports, right? And the UAE, even though they have some sports, but they focus on much more healthcare, some of the other stuff. And in Qatar, they focus on much more on education sector and some sports. So there's some complementary, honest with you, my view, right? Because I work on the entertainment sector. I feel like a lot of people come to me and say, UAE is announcing to build Disney. Now, Qadiyah is building this Qadiyah city. I feel like you look back again to my experience in China back old days is you have China, you have Singapore, you have Hong Kong. People come to Hong Kong, they're going to visit China and Singapore sometime. It's this region even more closer. People go to UAE, they might want to come to Qadiyah. And so it's that economy, I think even though they're competing a little bit, but that complement each other and drive each other, the economy better, I think, for the long term. Because you cannot be, like Chinese people saying, you cannot be, if you are rich by yourself, everybody want to borrow money from you. If everybody's rich, then they're all happy, right? So it's good. It's good that everybody's rich among all the neighbors.
No, it's very good. George, one of the things I wanted to ask you today also, AI, it's been a very big thing probably since 2022 in the public debate. I know it's been there for a long time, but what are your thoughts on things like ethics in AI? Do you think that's an important thing for the Saudi ecosystem to consider?
Yeah, so I think these things that Sadaya is all doing it, right? So we have engaged with Sadaya even 2 years, 3 years ago. They already have asked us, say, what are you guys doing with the AI ethics? Not only in your company, the JV, but what are you guys doing in China? Can we borrow some lessons or exchange some ideas? I think it's the kingdom's doing it. Kingdom that's Sadaya's mandate. It's a regulation, ethics, a global best practice. I think that PIF has also emphasized quite a bit about this. I think when a company like us, we bring lots of knowledge from what we're doing in Hong Kong, what we're doing in China to the market. But at the same time, we also we are looking, SenseTime group level, we're looking at what's going on in the world, what's the best practice, where AI ethics. Because in the future, nowadays we are AI, AGI is going to be here very soon. Now, you put an AI agent, AGI into a robotics. You need to make sure these robots are operate correctly, the data is correctly, and it's going to be it's moving every 3 months. You can see like ChatGPT release a new version, Chinese large model company release a new version. These things are moving fast. This is every 6 months you see new things are coming up. So the regulation, the policy, ethics has to be in place. But I think
Are you surprised?
Saudi is doing this.
Yeah, I was going to ask you just like the point I asked you, and then the other one about is the UAE and Qatar, where are they? Are you surprised that we haven't seen more of like a GCC like coordination on this, or do you think each country is going to be doing their own thing?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I didn't think about this question you just raised. This is a good question. I mean, I haven't thought about it. Whether or not you should coordinate among GCC, right? So maybe they should. That's a good perspective. But maybe the way I see it, I could be wrong. Maybe I see Saudi, UAE, Qatar, all very international. So they maybe just try to look at it, participate in a global practice instead of a GCC practice. So that might be a direction everybody's taking. I'm not an expert in policy, but that's my perspective. There could be just thinking about global practice, but we do. But I think Saudi. One thing about Saudi, for example, give you, this is a good. Maybe it's not answer your question directly, but when you look at like when I run this AI company here, you have to have is a big emphasis within kingdom. I think it is more emphasis than other countries I've been. So it's a very, very impressive, right? They have a cybersecurity officer to be PIF as well. They have to report to a CEO, not necessarily report to a CIO, and they have a policy within the company for cybersecurity. So all these things are good. I think there's a lot of work is being in the kingdom. They've been done. They probably much more thinking about following the global best practice, which PIF does that as well. So.
Very good.
But your perspective is good. I never thought about that perspective. It's good.
Very good. George, as we bring the podcast to a close shortly, one other thing I wanted to ask you was, like I said, 2022 is probably 2023 is when AI came onto the mainstream. How do you see AI changing going up to 2030 and then beyond 2030 into the next decade or two?
AGI. I think AGI is going to be, it's coming, right? So all that intelligence not only now is obviously large model. You can like ChatGPT is like an app. Eventually all that intelligence going to be putting that what we call AI agents, right? That could be put into physical world, like on robots, on a smart device. Even though it used to be, we have Siri, we have Amazon at home to turn the lights off. Eventually we're putting all these smart edge devices even much more smarter than it used to be. So it's coming. I mean, I think that's where I see the world. That's why like you said, I mean, as you have more and more these smart devices at home, these are data. So that the data going to be back upload on the cloud or somewhere. It has to put all these policy in place before we can deploy everywhere in the home or people's life, So that's
Yeah.
what I see. AGI is coming. It's in
Yeah,
the
no, I
next
agree.
3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, no, I think I was just thinking to myself before we were recording, AI has changed so much, even like within past 6 months has changed so much, just the models and like all the applications you can use for certain things. And do you see that as like a threat to certain industries? Like, for example, in the creative industry, what we're seeing a lot now is AI generated content. And obviously the likes of YouTube and others are pushing back against this in a sort of way. Do you see that as a threat to other sectors within not just Saudi Arabian economy, but just generally?
Yeah, I think AI is gonna definitely redefine certain industries, right? I mean, but I think at the basic, they may replace some of the basic job, basic for example, I use AI quite a bit. Used to be when I want to go see a client, study the client's company profile to analyze that industry. So before the meeting, I'll usually ask some of my staff to prepare. They usually takes 3, 4 hours to prepare. Now you just ChatGPT or our own, SenseTime own large model or ChatGPT model. You get the information in 5 minutes, right? And these kind of things. So that just shows you eventually going to eliminate more and more basic mundane jobs. But my view, I could be wrong. I think you're going to push, you're going to, because this disruptive force, you're going to force there's certain group of people, you're going to force the people to learn new skill sets. So I think like, for example, you're saying creativity. So all that AI creating these videos and picture, yes, that's great. But how do you connect all the dots? How do you create a storyline? How do you really connect all the dots on these videos? You still need a very creative people. So it makes people to even make average creative people more creative, creative people even more creative. I really feel that way. I feel like if even, I'm sure you use ChatGPT, you use some of the large models. When I use it, I feel like the people who can use really well these models are those people knows what they want. Then the ChatGPT give an even more better answer. So that means that you have to be really know your want. If you know what you want, that means you really know your stuff, right? You're a very deep thinker. So that drives each one of us to become more deeper thinker and to tell this large model to help us. So I think that's where the world is going. I think the people who knows how to use it gonna make our life even much better and much smarter. So that's how I see it.
Very good. And George, tell us any projects. Well, you've revealed some of the projects you're working, but tell us any projects since time in Saudi Arabia or what you can disclose if are working on any upcoming projects?
Yeah, I cannot share with you all the clients, but I think we are, like I said, earlier stage, I already told you in the podcast, as I said, we're working on education sector. We're very proud that we're doing the education sector. We're working on some really cool stuff on the entertainment. So we are working, how do you connect all the touch point, all the dots to really elevate the experience? And we have a really, you think about in the educational or entertainment sector, where you have ticketing, where CRM, you have food and beverage, you have so many data. How do we connect all that stuff? Every time you buy even a drink, we make your life easy and and we know what, ultimately in entertainment, I want a AI agent knows you better than you know yourself, what you want. And without hassle people, and to more give a better experience. And when you can create product like this, which we already have a proof concept product already. When you can create product this, you can really be useful in the entertainment sector, and as well as we're doing a smart city, smart building with our partners. But hopefully next time we'll give you some videos to show you. But because of the
Amazing. Hopefully, it won't be AI
confidentiality,
generated. Hopefully, they'll be human generated. But George, before we sign off, what's the best way to read about SenseTime's activities in Saudi?
that's a very quick LinkedIn. We're gonna enhance the LinkedIn, and also we're gonna do our website,
Okay, I'll link it in the
local
show notes.
website.
And what's the best way to reach you? Are you active on social media, or are you too busy like trying to
I'm not
learn
a
to
very
use
active
AI?
social media guy. Yeah. I'm too busy running a company. But that's why I'm talking to a guy like you, hopefully spread the good words for us.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's an interesting area, and I think a lot of people don't know too much about Saudi's AI strategy. And I think a lot will be interested in learning more about SenseTime, your background, and the ecosystem. But George, this has been a really great conversation, and I really hope that you do some more interesting stuff. And maybe we can come back in maybe 6 months' time to see where things stand. But George, this has been a really great conversation, and I thank you again for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.